The SEC is in all types of shambles this week after
except
the
for
chaos that happened in college football last week.
Horns, baby.
So I want to ask the
I don't
question.
think it's really in
I wouldn't say crash or trash,
How is
but
it trash?
I would say they are. A lot of teams are crashing. I definitely agree with that. Who's winning the SEC? That's the question I want to ask. And I'm going to open up. I'm going to start with Mike because I feel like he has an opinion.
I mean, who the fuck you think is gonna win the SEC?
SEC or Big 12? I'm just wondering about the jersey.
Fuck out of here.
Which one?
The Big 12.
It's a Big
Fuck
12
outta
jersey.
here.
Big 12.
But okay.
It's a testament
Who's
to
winning
how
the
long I've been a
SEC?
fan.
I have the odds of all the teams up. We can throw the odds of all the teams up here. But yeah, Texas plus 145. I'm assuming, Mike, you're saying that's the way to go.
Yeah, Texas has been absolutely routing every team that we've been playing so far this entire year. We are number one in AP poll for a reason. I think obviously our test starts this week, I guess technically, against Oklahoma.
Red River Showdown.
Red River Showdown, historic, been going on since 1932.
New stadium.
Or 1928, sorry.
New
something like that.
stadium.
The year Mike became a fan.
Nope, not that quite. But yeah, new stadium
2024.
and super neutral site Dallas, clearly. The most neutral. But yeah, anyways, I think our kind of road for I guess proving starts this week with Oklahoma, moves into Georgia. Our defense has been stellar. I think this is all not only a time for us to cement our place in the top of the SEC, starting for the rest of the year, but it's also a time for Quinn to come back and etch his name back into the top of the list for Heisman odds.
Oh, God.
He is going to absolutely shred this Oklahoma defense. And I think with the momentum of that, we're going to continue, and we're going to win the SEC at plus 145.
Yeah, so-
the freest money you'll ever see, and just bang, bang, and boom.
Ooh.
You are getting 1.5 to 1 on that. They do have to play an SEC championship game, though.
Yeah,
so
that's the
I don't know
big
if you
thing.
get value in betting
to
that.
win it.
I'll just read off the odds, then Mario, I want to ask you who you think is going to win. It's or who's the best bet? Not who's going to win. Obviously, we'll say the favorites most likely, but who's the best bet here? Texas plus 145, Bama and Georgia plus 400 apiece, A&M plus 750 because they're undefeated in SEC play, Ole Miss plus 850. Then it jumps a lot. Tennessee plus 1,800.
Where's LSU over there?
LSU plus 2,300. Arkansas
too.
plus 5,000. And Missouri, your previous number 9 ranked team in the league or in the conference, plus 7,000.
Yeah.
I had to scroll.
How you
Sorry.
doing?
Plus 7,000. And then if you really want to bet on Vanderbilt to keep it hot, they're plus 50,000. So
Ooh.
Or
who do you,
Auburn.
Look at
who do you think
Don't give
is
me an out.
your best bet here?
Best bet for value would be Georgia plus 400.
I love it.
For value. I mean,
Take
there's
me to
no,
the value
there's no
town.
value in betting Texas plus 145. Sorry,
more likely that we're
Intern
going to
Johnson's
face
having fun over
Alabama.
there.
Yeah, I don't know
Jesus
what
No,
Christ.
but
what's going on.
no. Yeah, I think Georgia plus 400. I think that loss to Vanderbilt for Alabama was pretty alarming. It's going to hurt them big time. I think Georgia going to Bama and losing by a close game isn't the worst loss in the world. So
Yeah.
I actually think Georgia's in a better spot. Who do I think is going to win? The best team I've seen play this season is Texas. Like, they're the one team I can say they don't have a glaring weakness. Like Georgia's offense can sometimes kind of sputter and be really streaky. Their defense isn't as dominant as past years. Alabama, we talked earlier about their defense. I think Texas defense very solid, offense very solid. They're just a well all around team. So they would be obviously they're favorites for a reason, but I think value. I
Georgia.
actually really like Georgia.
4
I
to
think
1.
in just a one-off game, they can beat Texas.
Yeah, they got to get there first, though.
They got to
Ryan,
get there. Yeah.
Who you like with these
I'm
odds?
low key obsessed with Texas A&M, and I can't get away from
Plus
it.
750.
They're plus 750,
No,
and
I mean, it tickles you
their
a little
only
bit.
game they have to play is they're gonna play at home against Texas for the last game of the season. I mean, low key, if they somehow win out
out.
until that
Win
game,
out.
no, even until that game,
No, until
and
that game.
lose that game, I still think there's a chance they get into the SEC championship.
I agree with that.
So you have a kind of cushion, and then they get to play them once, and then possibly play them again, and how that works when you play a team twice in this season.
Yeah.
So I kind of like Texas A&M plus 750. I don't know why.
I really like that logic.
I just think
because
the odds are 7.5 to 1 for a team that's probably they're 3-0 already. By I think the only the
Yeah, I was
best
gonna
is
say-
1-0 or something.
Yeah, no
I
one
love
else
that
is
logic.
2-0 or better besides
Saying
Texas
they're already
A&M.
3-0.
There's only 3 undefeated teams in the SEC. Texas A&M is 3-0, and then LSU and Texas are both 1-0.
Oh, I love
so
it.
they're just starting their conference play. And like you said, Texas A&M by far has the easiest SEC schedule. The only ranked team they play besides Texas in the last week is a home game against LSU. In 2
Saying,
weeks.
which I mean, they win that
So-
home game, and boom.
I think. Well, I was gonna say it's interesting because LSU has a really hard schedule upcoming. But LSU is also undefeated. If LSU beats Texas A&M, who's an undefeated SEC team, you can see some value there. But yeah, I mean,
Plus 23.
I think Texas is going to win the SEC. I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't know if they beat
Sweaty.
Georgia. I haven't decided which way I'm going on that game yet. If they beat
I've
Georgia,
decided.
I think.
Regular season, they beat Georgia.
I've
Well, that's what I'm
decided.
saying. Well, that's all I'm talking about. Is
Oh.
in the
I thought
game.
you were
where-
saying like possible SEC
no.
Yeah, I thought you were
championship.
talking next.
No. Well, if they beat Georgia in the regular season, it might be hard for Georgia to make the SEC
I
championship.
agree.
Because I think
losses.
you'll probably have either an A&M or about Alabama, Tennessee. One of those teams will probably have just one loss
Yeah.
and make it in the conference championship. And then Georgia would be kind of left on the way out. I mean, they'd be in the playoffs regardless.
Yeah.
It's Georgia. Their name just alone carries enough weight to get them in the playoffs. But as far as betting is concerned, I do actually like Georgia plus 400 because if they beat Texas, they will be in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
I think they'll figure their shit out if they beat the best team in the country.
Yeah.
So I don't mind a shot on Texas if you are already going to bet on them against Georgia. That's what I'm saying. But I do love A&M.
Oh, I love it way too
Not
much.
and almost I almost want to find the odds. I don't have this up, but to make the SEC championship rather than win it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I want to put money on Texas A&M to beat a Texas or a Georgia in the SEC championship when it's not a home game.
Yeah.
Texas A&M has an insane home field advantage. Like I like for them to just kind of run the table and then maybe win or lose against Texas, one loss, get in the SEC
Love it.
championship. So maybe find the odds for Texas A&M to be in the SEC championship.
That's
right.
spicy.
I like that.
I was gonna say, is anyone even sprinkling any of these other crazy teams though? Like, is LSU plus 2,300 as an undefeated SEC team worth even looking at, or any of these other one-loss teams like
Tennessee.
Oklahoma plus 100,000?
No. Fuck OU.
What
Or,
about Ole Miss?
sorry, plus 10,000. Plus 10.
Fuck OU.
What's Ole Miss?
Ole Miss is plus 850.
Oh, that's not that bad.
I like
They have a
Tennessee.
tough schedule.
You like
If
Tennessee?
It's just all of
if
it's
Tennessee
shambles,
can beat
bro.
Bama, then they have a real
I
opportunity.
think everyone in the SEC could beat everyone. We all have no idea.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of gnarly. That's why like this is my favorite conference to look at for odds to win because it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Like if you looked at these odds last week, A&M was not plus 750.
Oh, no chance.
And like you weren't getting fucking Missouri at plus 7,000.
Yeah, no.
Like they were the 9th ranked team in the league. Like
They're
you
like
know,
plus 450.
everything can change in
All I'm gonna
a
say,
day.
I'm not saying or giving advice to bet on LSU at all. All I'm gonna say though is they have a tough game this week against Ole Miss, and if LSU can win that
Home game.
that's what I'm saying. Home game against Ole Miss. If they can win that game, all of a sudden, I mean, you're looking at Ole Miss plus 850, LSU plus 2,300. That could
That'll flip.
quite literally flip in a week.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so this might be the only time you could get LSU at that value. Obviously, they could lose some. They have some tough games ahead
I was
after
gonna
this.
say LSU. Yeah, it depends on how high you
How
rank
high
the
you
rest of
rank
these
them,
teams. But
including
say they beat
A&M.
Ole Miss, right? Which is a tough game. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Ole Miss is a tough
Yeah.
game. They get Arkansas. They should win that one. At A&M, so that's a tough game.
Another tough
But
game.
if they win that A&M game, they go Alabama, Florida, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. They essentially would just need one. If they lose one SEC game, they'll probably get in total. So if they can only lose to Bama and beat Oklahoma, A&M, and Ole Miss, I don't hate the
Yeah,
idea.
it
of
was an
LSU.
extremely tough task. So,
But again, this is also
I'm
to
not-
win the conference championship game. So they have to then
Yeah.
go.
Do you guys think there's a
Texas.
world where Texas doesn't make the conference championship game?
No.
Like
Doesn't
a
make
realistic
it
world,
in.
not just like 1%, like
So that means that we lose to Georgia and A&M.
or Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't think they lose to Oklahoma. I mean, Texas' upcoming schedule is, like we said, Oklahoma this week, home against Georgia, then they go Vandy,
Vandy.
Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky.
A lot of
I
upset
don't see-
teams in
I don't
there.
see-
listen, Kentucky and
Vanderbilt
Vandy.
upset.
A&M. I don't know
Arkansas upset.
No, I don't think
I
so.
like that.
I think
Okay.
I think Texas
I like
is probably the
I
only
wonder
team.
what the odds are on that for them
To
not
ma-
to make this championship.
Well, them to make it, if to win the game is probably plus 150, it's got to be like minus 200 or something.
Yeah.
So I'm getting like plus.
I honestly don't think that's a bad bet because they're one of the
Oh, I mean,
undefeated
lifeline
SEC teams. They don't play the hardest SEC schedule.
No.
They only play one top 10 team. So and there's plenty of top
Yeah,
10
it,
SEC
it was
teams.
minus 215 to make the SEC championship
Yeah.
for Texas.
I would hammer
I
that.
put our entire fund.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, the SEC is absolutely electric. It's going to be fun. I mean, week 7 and 8 we're approaching right now are just chaos weeks.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
crazy.
Week 6 was like the teaser, Texas got a
Even though
bye.
it was chaos.
Yeah, it was
for
chaos,
It
but
was
see,
absurd.
they weren't like the big marquee games chaos. It was like
Yeah.
unranked versus ranked. or, like,
Unexpected
25
chaos, and
Yeah.
this is going to be
And this week
controlled
is
chaos.
controlled chaos where you're like planning for it. So yeah, no, this week in college.
You just have to weather the storm through 3 weeks. If your
Dude.
team can get by unscathed,
I
then
know.
like you
That's
can
why
see
I-
the green grass.
I'm not gonna lie. Texas having a bye this week. Someone was looking out for you because this was the nuclear.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was bad.
This was the
Especially
nuke
for
week.
the SEC. The last
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, this week's gonna be electric in college football.